So, Mom, you're asking about the 14-day reset. So the 14-day reset specifically using Ningxia Red. Are there other things you can do with the reset? Yes, but it's about the Ningxia Red. Before the 14-day reset started, I had done several different 30-day Ningxia Red challenges, different things. But when I started the 7-day energy Kickstarter challenge, I did it because there are so many things that our body needs, foundational. Okay, there's these foundational principles that we're going to talk about breathing in a minute, have got away from as humans, as Americans, as women, as people. And my belief is Ningxia Red is great to help us with the nutritional aspect, but it's not enough, right? There's other things that we need to do. So the 14-day reset, you can do anytime, and it would be great to do it during this 7-day Kickstarter tracker challenge, right? Like you have the tracker here and it has right here, Ningxia Red, 2 to 4 ounces, 3 times a day, okay? The way the 14-day reset is just kind of like I say, you want to heavy dose it, right? Depending on how many packets you have. So if you have the 14-day reset, it does it for you. Day 1, you could start today and you would just follow along with that. And then next week, you're going to continue with it, right? In these 7 days, if you chose, hey, I'm just going to work on the Ningxia Red part, great. Highlight that here on the tracker, right? Or if you have a 14-day reset tracker that you've printed off, or if you're just using that box to utilize to be able to track it, that's great too. Whatever works best for you. Okay. Again, with the 7-day energy Kickstarter, it's about finding the things that are going to best support you, but everything on here is foundational principles that if we're not doing, we're probably not going to have the energy that we want. Okay. There's nothing on here that we can really go, oh, I don't need this. Do you need it right now? Is it the most important thing? If you aren't doing several of them, picking one to start with is great. If you have consistently been doing one, then pick this to have 2, 3 until you're doing them all. Okay. For me, this is my foundation of what I work on all the time. I don't track it all the time. So I like having a week that I'm actually tracking it so I can go, oh, this is an area that I may need to work on. Okay. So every day I would do breath work. We're going to talk about breath work. Do I need to improve with my breath work, even though I do it every day and have been doing it every day? Yes. And I'm going to talk about what I'm learning in my own life and the process and how I'm implementing it. But you're going to pick whatever you want in here. This week, I'm just going to get on every morning like I did this morning, post a little video inside of Facebook on one of these. So tomorrow we're going to talk about Ningxia Red, okay, and why it's beneficial. This week, what I'm doing, just to let you know, I'm doing 2 ounces with each one of my meals. So that's going to be 6 ounces for the day. I found that works really well for me. Could I do 6 ounces several times a day? You bet. But right now, I don't feel like I need that because I have these other things that I do for energy sources that I don't feel like I need that much Ningxia Red. But you're going to find what works best for you. The thing is most of us don't want to continue doing 6 to 8 ounces 3 times a day for 30 days every month because that's going to cost a lot of money, right? And there's other energy sources that we still need that the Ningxia Red's not going to ever help you breathe better, right? Ningxia Red's never going to replace exercise. Ningxia Red is never going to replace sleep. What Ningxia Red can do is it can help support your body be able to do those things. So when you have more energy, when you're getting the nutrients you need, you're more likely to exercise. When you have the nutrients that you need, you're more likely to sleep better. So those are the things that, where you start is great. We've been doing this for over a year now. Y'all should be doing that have been doing this more than once, more than one thing right now, right? If you are brand new in a 7-day energy Kickstarter tracker challenge, pick one, pick 2. See what you can do. See what makes you feel better. At the bottom, I have keeping track of your energy level because here's the thing, y'all. We are not usually aware of how we feel other than I feel good or I feel bad, right? And so if we will just figure out a number of how we feel. And if you're like, well, I feel better than I did yesterday, then up the number 1 or 2, right? And if you feel worse than the day before, put the number 1 or 2 less than you did the day before. And just to give you an idea of, oh, look at, these are the things that I did. Okay. And I have more energy the next day. Oh, these are the things I did. Maybe I did too much and I had less energy. Oh, I see a pattern here. When I do this, I have more energy. And when I don't do this, I don't have as much energy. And that's really the purpose behind doing this tracker, because just like me, and I'm going to talk about last week, I woke up on a day I had no energy and I had a headache. And I do almost all of these on a daily basis. But there's always things that we can implement and make changes, whether it is our exercise, what we're eating, how we're breathing, and all of that. So I hope that answers your question, Mom, on if you want to include the 14-day reset, this is the perfect week to start it.
Okay, that's kind of what I had decided to do. But
yeah. All right. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is how oxygen is an energy booster. Okay. So there are places like, I think it's Japan that have, and there's places here in the United States too, but Japan has a lot of them. They actually have oxygen bars, okay, where you can go and you can put oxygen on to boost your energy. Now, that would be a tool. Here's the thing, as I'm breathing right now, there is oxygen around me that I can breathe into my body, right, and utilize. But a lot of us are not good breathers. So I shared this morning on Facebook about a book called Breathe by James Nestor. He is not a medical guy, y'all. He is a journalist. He is a journalist that was dealing with anxiety and depression and lack of motivation and all these different things that a lot of us have dealt with in life, right? He is, we'll just call him a normal guy, right? And he started doing some research, and this has gone for many, many years now, to the point that he has kind of become a breath expert in gaining all this knowledge. He went around the world to learn about breathing. One thing that us Americans are not good at is breathing. We're not real good about eating right, and we're not real good about, there's a lot of things us Americans are. What we are really good at, y'all, let's just talk about some of the things we are good about. We are really good at living in a comfortable home with an air conditioner and a heater that keeps us comfortable. We're really good at having several TVs in our home so we can keep up with all the local news and the national news and all the TV shows and the movies. We're really good at that. Y'all, we are really good at having a lot of stuff. Okay. Our houses are bigger, our stuff that we have, our cups are bigger, our plates are bigger. Like we are good at, there's some things Americans are really good. Our cars are bigger, right? There's a lot of things that we're good at. Breathing is not one of them. All right. Now, are there other people around the world that aren't good breathers? Yes, we're not the only ones. Okay. But we all breathe. We all breathe. So how have we become not so good breathers, right? Well, a lot of the other things that are on the 7-day energy Kickstarter tracker help us also be good breathers, okay? I'm going to go ahead and stop the share of that, but I want you to think about that. Like, this is something you cannot live without. If you do not have oxygen, if I block your nose and block your mouth for the amount of time that you are capable of holding your breath, you will die, right? You will suffocate. And there's some things in the book. If y'all want more information, like I'm going to tell you, read this book. I started this book several years ago, and then I started reading it again after going to a conference in Dallas, just because I've been learning about breathing for probably since, I'm going to share a little story, probably since 5th or 6th grade. Like, I went to PT school. We talked about breath work. I started doing Pilates. I learned about breath work. Like, it keeps coming back. I'm like, if there is nothing else that we do, this is why I have this on this day one, right? If there is nothing else that we do other than working on our breath work, we are going to see change. Okay. Now, I say a minimum of 2 minutes a day. That is a starting place. Okay. If you are not doing any type of breath work, don't start with 15 minutes. Okay. Start with 2 minutes. But if you've been doing 2 minutes of breath work for a couple of months, then move up to 5 minutes. Okay. If you've been doing 5 minutes do 10 minutes. Do we need to do more than 20 or 30 minutes a day? Probably not, right? There's this Goldilocks zone. Not enough, too much, just right. Okay. We are all breathing. The purpose of breath work is to practice breathing techniques that we're going to utilize in our real life. Okay. So some other things that we're going to talk about this morning, I'm going to bring up because I'm going to kind of jump over to another area to show y'all some things. But one thing I'm going to talk about is when we exhale, when we breathe out, this is how we get rid of fat. 70 to 80% of fat that you break down comes out of your mouth or nose or both to get rid of fat. Now, I want you to know the caveat here. First, you have to break down the fat. Okay. This doesn't mean that if you go, oh, I'm just going to do breathing exercises all day long so I can get rid of the fat. I'm going to, sorry, but that's not going to work. Okay. Now, here's the thing. We know things like exercise help break down fat. Okay. So if you are exercising, typically you automatically breathe in and out more heavily, right? And so when you're breathing out, you're getting rid of that fat that you're breaking down. If we are fasting, so on that tracker, I have at least 12 hours, minimum 12 hours of fasting. 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Don't eat anything. Don't put anything in your mouth that has calories. What does have calories? Pretty much anything but water. Okay. So know that when you are fasting in those 12 hours, like you are going to start breaking down fat closer to the end, a 10 to 12 hour period. When you blow out, you are getting rid of fat. If you are not exhaling, guess what? You're not going to get rid of as much fat. Okay. So that's one way to think about it. So that's why I have all those different foundational principles on that list, because we need all of them. All of them work together to give us good health. Where do we start? Start somewhere. Is breath work a great place to start? We're all breathing anyway. We might as well practice some good breathing techniques. So if you're wanting to break down fat, this would also be a good exercise to learn today that we're going to be doing. Okay. I'm also going to be talking about breath, stress, and emotions. I'm going to talk about an aha moment that I had last week. I think it was on Wednesday, not 100% sure, but we're just going to use Wednesday as what I think it was. And then before we're done, we're going to practice some breathing techniques. Okay. So I'm just going to share for a moment how I implement breathing techniques into my day, because like y'all, I'm busy. Okay. I got a lot going on. So when I wake up in the morning, sometimes if I wake up in the middle of the night, my husband has been getting up to go to the bathroom way too many times. I'm just saying we're going to need to work on that. And if he wakes up and that wakes me up, perfect time for me to do some breathing techniques, okay, to help me go back to sleep. If I can't fall back to sleep, at least I'm working on my breath work and I'm not getting mad at my husband, right? Okay. The next thing, when I get up in the morning, either I pee or I brush my teeth first. So whenever the brush the teeth come, I have some oil right next to my toothbrush and toothpaste. Right now it's Citrus Fresh and Peppermint. Those are the two that I'm using this month. Okay. So I do at least 2 minutes of breath work at my sink. Okay. I'm just going to be honest with y'all, just showing how I work this in. If I brush my teeth before I go pee, I get my oil, I put it on my hand, I smell it, and I walk to the toilet and I work on my breathing while I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I do that a lot throughout my day. Okay. Other times that I use breath work, when I am frustrated. Does anybody ever get frustrated? Okay. When I get frustrated, I go to a breathing technique to help me relax, to lower my stress. Okay. There are lots of different breathing techniques. At the end, we're going to talk about some different ones. Which ones do I use? Which ones are my favorite? It depends on how I feel and what I need. Okay. Currently, while I'm laying in bed, I pretty much go through the breathing healing through the stress continuum that I have a program inside of Exprensify for all my members. Okay. I just walk myself through it because my goal is to get to a calm state. And I want to teach my body how to get into a calm state. So I practice that type of breath. Okay. Now, as the day goes, when I get into bed, I brush my teeth before I get into bed, right? And my oils are right there. So I grab an oil. Sometimes I even have an oil next to my bed. I'll just take it with me. And I will do breath work when I get into bed. It helps me to calm down and go to sleep. Okay. So those are the times that that is just part of my routine. Like, I don't need to mark that off. I don't need to have a little card to remind me, but y'all, I have been working on this for 10 to 20 years in different ways. Okay. So don't compare my implementation to yours, but utilize that information to go, when could I do breath work? Okay. When would be a good time? And I want you to make like a note of that for this week as you're practicing, because here's the thing. If we have to get our sheet of paper out and do all the things at one time, it's not going to become part of our lifestyle. Okay. But when we can look at it and go, how can I add this to my life? How can breath work be a part of my life? And where would it best fit in right now, this week, today? Not next week, not next month, but today and where I'm at. Okay. And Tony, it's great to see you. And so that's what I want y'all to be thinking about. Okay. Now, going back to, I have been doing breath work. This just like popped into my mind when I found some balloons when I was cleaning my house out. So I'm going to walk over to my sink because that's where the balloons are. And I'm going to show y'all something. All right, I'm going to be two places at once. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I need to bring my computer any closer or if I can turn this on. Let's see. All right, I'm actually going to. Okay, I'm going to be. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you, Shauna. Oh.
Okay, I was just getting feedback from the computer, so I muted it. Okay, so y'all can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mom, I don't know if you remember this, but in the 6th grade, I had to do a project and I chose to make this board, and for lungs, it had balloons. And I got behind the little project and I showed how everybody that when you breathe, how the lungs come up, and when you exhale, it goes down. Okay. So again, I have been researching back in the day in the library, because, you know, we didn't have computers like we do today, about breathing. So when these balloons came up, there was some things that I really thought about that I want to show you for just a minute. Okay. So every cell in our body needs oxygen, y'all. Every cell. So I want you to pretend like this is just one cell. It could be a lung cell. It could be a heart cell. It could be a brain cell. It could be an eye cell. It doesn't matter. Okay. Every cell in your body needs oxygen, except,
Are y'all ready for this? Cancer cells do not need oxygen. Oxygen kills cancer cells.
Wow.
Are you hearing me? Cancer cells like sugar, glucose. That's how they live. They don't need oxygen. They close themselves up and they're like, don't worry about me. I don't need any oxygen. Healthy cells, like this balloon, needs oxygen. And if it doesn't have oxygen, see how it's depleted right now? It's like, please give me oxygen. So I'm going to give it some oxygen. Talk about some breath work there, y'all. Okay.
I need to get me some balloons.
But we're going to pretend like my cell here is full of oxygen. Okay. It is really, really full. That is great, but that is only part, hear me here, part of the process. Okay. Because if this oxygen does not get rid of that oxygen called carbon dioxide, it goes through a process. If that oxygen stays there, I can't put more oxygen in there. Oxygen is great to move through a process, but if it stays there, we have what's called oxidative stress. So, do we have any breath holders here that hold their breath? This cell right here is holding on to that oxygen because I haven't let it go yet, right? I brought in the oxygen and I'm holding it, and I'm still holding it, and I'm still holding it. So it's kind of stuck. Does anybody ever feel stuck? Stuck in a rut, stuck in life. Your cells can feel that way too. They're stuck. They have all this oxygen in them, but they start kind of rusting the parts that are inside that cell. So what do we need to do? We need to exhale. Okay, but I just exhaled a little bit. Okay, so I still have some oxygen in there, and my body's like, man, I really need more. So I gave it some more oxygen, but it never really got to let out all the way. And we want our process to fully have oxygen and let all that carbon dioxide out. Okay. I want you to think about this for just a moment on stress. So if I'm going to kind of walk you through a stress continuum, okay, with my balloon. Okay. So here is a calm state. See that? I inhaled and I exhaled. Oxygen went into the cell, carbon dioxide came out of the cell. That is a calm. Resistance. That's what I call the yellow zone, right? Fight. It's not getting any bigger. There's resistance there to my oxygen trying to go in. Don't know if y'all can see me turning red. Does anybody turn red when they start fighting? Right? And then you might scream and it might sound like that, right? That's a little resistance. And then there's flight. We're like, I can't fight, so I'm going to go. Y'all had to run right now away from a bear? Would you sound kind of like that? Right? That's when we're breathing in and out. But there's not a whole lot of oxygen going in and not a lot of carbon dioxide going out. It's just kind of this back and forth, right? Then we get overwhelmed, what I call the red zone. Y'all ready to watch overwhelm? More. Just feels like there's more and more on us. I'm feeling it in my shoulders. I'm having to use my shoulders to blow now. More. Does anybody ever feel like they're going to blow up? kind of afraid of what's going to happen to this balloon, to be honest, y'all. Okay. And you get so overwhelmed, you get like me, and I'm like, I'm afraid if I keep blowing into this, it's going to blow up in my face. So what do? I just hold my breath. Now we're in the blue zone, trauma-free state. No oxygen coming in, no carbon dioxide going out, but this cell is full. Full. Full, right? And if you're like me, I'm really good at just doing this. I just blow up. I just let it all out, right? That's me going from trauma freeze to coming back alive to the anger red zone, right? I just let it all out. But hey, y'all, sometimes we just got to let it all out or our balloon's going to blow up. Does that visual help? Okay. Now, going back to my balloons, I have a whole bag here. We're going to talk about fat for just a minute. Okay. We all have fat cells. We're going to pretend like each one of these balloons is fat cells. See how I can fit all of these balloons in this little package? We like more. We like more food. We like more oxygen. We breathe in more. We eat more. We bring more things in the house. We have toxins and all the stuff, right? Can be in our air too, breathing it in. We breathe in and we don't exhale well, guess what? Remember I said when we exhale, we break down or we lose fat? Okay. What is fat? Fat is two things. It's more than two things, but two things that we're getting rid of. Carbon dioxide is in here. Okay. Also water is in here, and we're going to get to water in just a minute. But when I exhale, I'm letting out some carbon dioxide. Again, we have to break down the fat. How can we break down the fat? Well, we have to be doing something to these cells, which is called movement, exercise. Or we have to not be bringing more into our cells. Typically, we do that with food and toxins. Toxins can look a lot of ways. We're not going to talk about all the things, but I want you to know that your body protects you by sending toxins or too much. What is toxic? Anything there's too much of or too much too fast. That becomes toxic to your body. That can be emotions. Can we hold emotions in our fat cells? You bet. If we don't let them go, we hold them in. Okay. Can we hold food in our fat cells? Yep. Can it be good food? Yes. If you eat too much of good food, y'all, I love nuts. I can eat nuts like nobody's business. But my body only needs so much. And if I go over the Goldilocks zone amount for my body is going to hold on to it. It's going to go into my fat cell. This is one fat. Remember, like y'all, this has had 13 balloons in it because I took one out. There was 14. Okay. They all fit in this package. We're going to pretend like this package is Shauna at her ideal weight. All of her fat cells are ideally, they're there. They take up some space. This one that is full, I can't even put in the package of Shauna. Okay. It gets bigger. I have to do something to break it down, but then I have to let it go. One way I do that is exhale, but I want you to look at how big my fat cell is now, right? Once they get big, they take up a little bit more space, but I can still fit it in me. Okay. So I'm in there. Before I couldn't even put it in there. All right. Is this helpful? Okay.
Yes.
Breath work. Part of it is about the inhale. But I want you to gain from that. The exhale for us here in America is twice as important. If you are alive, you're getting enough oxygen. If you don't have enough energy, if you have extra weight, extra emotions, extra toxins in your body, you're probably not exhaling enough. Okay. So we're going to talk about water for just a minute. Not in the fact of just necessarily drinking water, but water is H2O, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. I'm going to talk about hydrogens more on the day I talk about hydration, which I think is maybe Friday. I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me right now. But we're going to talk about the O part, the H2O. Okay. I want you to think about this. Carbon dioxide, which is what you breathe out, okay, is a C, carbon. We're not going to talk about it right now. O2, CO2 is carbon dioxide. You're taking out, you're breathing out an oxygen that's attached to a carbon. I am going to talk about carbon for a second. Okay. Carbon is where toxins attach to, or I should say carbon sucks it up. So if you think about people taking charcoal, if they're toxic, charcoal is a carbon, okay? So carbon soaks up the toxins and attaches it to them. So when you're breathing out, we talked about one way we can break down fat and then get rid of it is breathing out carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a carbon. You're going to breathe out some of those toxins that we got in either through breathing, through food, through all the different things, our skin. Oxygen is also going out, okay? When it goes out of our nose, we're helping purify it. When we're breathing it in through our nose, we're helping purify it, okay? If we're needing to forcefully get it out, we can breathe it out of our mouth, preferably through pursed lips, okay? But there's also the water, okay? So when fat breaks down, it breaks down into carbon dioxide and water. That's 2 oxygens on your carbon dioxide and 2 on your H2O. That's 3 oxygens. If you are dealing with a lot of what we call oxidative stress or inflammation, anybody dealing with inflammation? Okay. Inflammation is too much oxygen in your cells rusting, breaking down. They started out trying to do a good job. Inflammation acutely is a good thing. Chronic inflammation is not. Okay. So how do we get that out? Well, we have to pee or sweat it out. Okay. But I'm going to use water as an example here, just kind of like I was with the balloon, but I want you to think about this. Can y'all see my cup very well? I don't know. Maybe I'll have to.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Some water in it. So I don't know if you can see very well on my shirt. Okay. So right here, this is just a small cup. Okay. And I'm going to put some water in it. Okay. My cup is full of water. We're going to pretend like this is oxygen. My cell has enough oxygen in this cup. Let's say that your cup is a little bit bigger. Maybe this is really your cell. Okay. I'm going to give it some oxygen, but it's not completely full. It is lacking some oxygen. Shortness of breath. Okay. A lot of times when we're short of breath, it's because we don't have enough oxygen. Okay. But I'm going to take another breath. Here's my breath of oxygen. And I'm going to take another breath, but y'all, I didn't really breathe out. I kind of been holding my breath. Okay. And so now I'm adding more oxygen, but did you see it kind of went everywhere else? It couldn't get into the cell because the cell already had oxygen in it. So it went outside of it. Inflammation. Okay. We need to breathe in and we need to breathe out. we need to exhale. I'm going to go back to my seat. Can y'all hear me? Oh,
Yes, yes.
just a second. Let me turn this off. Okay. So I like visuals. I love it when I'm living life and visuals come up to me. Okay. So, I am trying my best to bring things into my house. A nice, clean house, y'all. I did these little things I'm going to teach y'all more about, but there are these little petri dishes, and my house was clear. My house looked good before we brought anything in. But y'all, we have a lot of junk. We have a lot of good stuff. But both of them could be a little toxicated from life in the house from the years before. Okay. So we've been doing a lot of cleaning. Anything that comes into my house, my mom has come to help, gets cleaned. Okay. But it does come into the house because it is too darn hard. I tried that one day of being in the garage and trying to clean things. And the garage isn't necessarily clean. So it was kind of like I felt like I needed to clean it once it came into the house. So it was like I was double cleaning, and yeah. So that balloon that feels a little overwhelmed, I feel often, daily. I get to the point. Then I blow up sometimes because I'm human, and I get a little overwhelmed. And I think like I said, it was Wednesday morning. I woke up and I was working on my breath work. And one of the things I wanted to teach y'all last month that we didn't get to, so I'm going to have y'all just kind of try this out. I want you to see what it feels like to just breathe in and out one nostril, and you can pick whichever one. So I just want you to block one nostril and breathe in. See how that feels, and then do the other one. Did it feel any different?
On one side's a little bit more stopped up than the other one.
Which side is more stopped up, Mom?
This side's more stopped up.
Which side is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, the left side.
Okay, your left side is more stopped up. Okay. Christina, were you saying your left side's more stopped up? Tony, how about you? Right side or left side? Right side? Okay. It's natural for one side to be stopped up, just to let y'all know. Okay. I'm not saying normal, it's natural. And I'd like to teach more about this, but this isn't going to be the day to do that. But I'm using this as an example because this is something that I practice in the mornings in bed after my husband gets up and leaves. And our nostrils go to the opposite side. So a couple things I am going to teach you real quick. So your right nostril, when it is open, is activating your left side of your brain more. You're still, both sides are available. Okay. It's not like totally closed off, right? But it's kind of like the kitchen's closed, but the kitchen's still there. Okay. And the left nostril goes to the right side of the brain. Okay. And I woke up with a headache on my right side. And I had this, like I said, I do this one nostril, this breathing back and forth. And I thought, isn't that interesting? My left nostril was so backed up. Okay. Now, y'all, there's lots of reasons. other than just the natural process that our body cycles back and forth between right nostril breathing, left nostril breathing throughout the day. Okay. And like I said, I'll teach more about this nostril breathing, alternate nostril breathing, and how we can use that to practice, but it's natural for it to go back and forth. Okay. But your right nostril, okay, when it is activated, working more clear, you're likely to be in a more sympathetic state. So I want you to think about the gas on the car, the gas pedal on the right makes you go, right? So when your right nostril is open, you're more likely to be in a more sympathetic state. That's not necessarily bad, y'all. That's our go-go state, right? That's where I like to go. Go, 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 right? I was in bed though. My right nostril not necessarily needing to be at its highest peak, but when I am going, okay, I want that right nostril open. When I'm resting, I'd like my left nostril to be more open. Okay, think about the brake on the car is on the left side. So my left nostril is my parasympathetic, more of the brake. It's time to rest. Okay. If you ever find that you're trying to go to sleep at night and your right nostril is more open than your left nostril, then alternate breath work, nostril breath work might be challenging, but also might be helpful. Okay. And we're going to learn more about this as we go, but I'm bringing this up to use myself as an example. Okay. So I'm in bed. My right side of my brain is not feeling well. Got a headache. My left nostril is stopped up. So I'm thinking, before I start my day, I kind of need to get in this parasympathetic state. So I used a lot of my tools to help myself, support myself, right? And that's all great, except for my headache didn't go away. Okay. And I had a lot I needed to do of cleaning the house. And I kind of was just like, you know what? Maybe I'm just supposed to kind of rest this morning and not get that done. And so I was planning on doing it in the afternoon. And at 1:05, my husband messaged me and said, "Are they there yet to work on the porch?" And I said, "No." And at 1:30, they were there. And at 1:05, when I told him, I said, "No, and I have a headache, and I would really just appreciate if they don't come and bang on the house today," right? They came at 1:30. And I'm like, of course, right? I've got a headache and they're working on the porch. And I haven't really got anything done for the house. And they started banging and my head hurts, and it doesn't hurt any worse than it did when they weren't banging, but I was like, I might as well get something done, even with a headache, because laying in a bed with somebody banging is probably not going to happen, right? But I had done a Zyto scan that morning. Remember I told you I got all my tools out, right? And as I was cleaning, because there's only so many things you can do while you're cleaning things, I was working on some breath work. And I remembered exhale came up on one of my stressors. Okay. And so I did what's called the 4-7-8 breath work technique, which is you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and you exhale for 8, meaning you're blowing out twice as long as you're breathing in. Okay. So for just a minute, I had y'all do that. Y'all felt like what that felt like. I want you to just for a second, you're not going to do the 4-7-8 yet, but I just want you to practice breathing in and counting to yourself how long you can breathe in. Okay. And if you have a piece of paper, you might just want to write it down, but I just want you to take a deep breath, preferably through your nose, even only if one nostril's working, it's still working, right? If you have to breathe in through your mouth, if both nostrils are like completely closed and you can't get any air, but I'd like for you to try and do a breath, one breath at least, count it of how long you can breathe in. and just write that number down. Okay. Now, I want you to breathe in for at least whatever number you just wrote down, and then I want you to hold your breath and count. Okay, so you're going to take a breath in for as long as, don't try and beat it, just for as long as you did before, and then just hold your breath. Make sure you write down how long you could hold your breath. This time, whatever number you wrote down for your inhale, you're going to breathe that in, that same count. You're going to hold your breath for the same amount that you just held it. And then you're going to blow out and count how long you can exhale. Okay, air coming out. If you need to put your hand in front of your nose, your mouth, so that you can feel it, that you're actually letting out and not just holding your breath again. Okay. So we're going to practice this. You're going to breathe in whatever that first number was, hold for the second number, exhale, you're counting, and then you're going to write that number down. Okay, go ahead whenever you're ready. Would anybody like to share their numbers?
Sure, I will. I could breathe in for a count of 9
Mhm.
and hold my breath for 30, but my exhale came out really fast, so it was only a 6.
Okay, good. So your exhale was less than the other two.
Mhm.
Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind for just a minute. Okay, anybody else want to share?
I just did it the one time, but I did 7 for breathing in, 15 for holding, and 16 for breathing out.
Okay. So your breathing in was your least number, and your hold and your exhale was about the same.
Yeah, 15 and 16.
Okay. How about you, Christina? Would you like to share?
Sure, mine was 6, 12, 8.
6, 12, 8. Good. Okay. We're not comparing to each other. I just want you to pay attention to that exhale number. Is it twice as much as your inhale?
No. Mine was,
Okay.
which I'm surprised.
And was your exhale, or was your hold twice as long as your exhale, or about the exhale and inhale added together? Does that make sense?
No, not really. Say
So
that again.
your
Mine
hold
was 15.
15, okay, is that the inhale and exhale, if you add those two together, do you get that middle number?
No, because my breathing in was only 7. I probably could have done it longer, but I just did it the one time. 7. So the 15 was holding it, and 16 is twice, a little more than twice as long as the inhale, but just one over the holding.
Right. Okay. So having that kind of as a guide, again, the 4, 7, 8 practice, okay, is to help us be able to practice not really the holding the breath part, okay, but when we hold, then we're able to kind of gather what is going to happen when we get overwhelmed and into that freeze state. Okay. So when we can practice the exhale, it's that exhale that's really the important part of that 4, 7, 8 is we're learning, okay, I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to hold, so that the next time I'm holding, I'm teaching my body to exhale twice as long as my inhale, or a little longer than my hold. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So could we do an 8, a 14, and a 16, double that? Yes, right? There's all different kinds of breathing techniques out there. So going back to my cleaning and working on my 4, 7, 8, I was having a really hard time even breathing out, exhaling for a count of 8. Like really hard. And I practice the 4, 7, 8 almost every day. So one thing I want you to be aware of this week as you're working on some breathing techniques, you might find that if you do this at different times of the day, or depending on how you feel, it might be more difficult to breathe in for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Different parts might feel a little different. Just like the next time you try and do alternate breathing, you might be like, oh, it's my other nostril that's like stuck now, right? Or both of them feel about even, or both of them are stopped up, okay? The breathing technique itself has a purpose. But learning from your breathing, I think, is even more awesome. Okay. So I'm at my sink and I'm like, exhale came up and I'm having a really hard time blowing out. And my head hurts. Okay. And there's noise going on. And I don't want to clean anymore, y'all. And I go out to get the next box and I'm like, I'm just throwing this stuff away. Donate box, donate box, donate box, trash, donate box. I might clean 3 items out of a box. Maybe. If there was 20 or 30 items, I got rid of like most of it. And I came in to wash those 3 and I do my 4, 7, 8. And this is a good probably 5, 10, I don't know, probably not 15 minutes, but 5 to 10 minutes later. And I could exhale till the cows came home. Like my exhale, like I stopped, like it was easy for 8, right? Like I felt like I could exhale a lot longer. Noticed my headache went away. And this thought came to my mind. It has been really stressful getting rid of things, keeping things, deciding what to keep, what to get rid of, right? The overwhelming part isn't just all the stuff, it's all the decisions that go with all the stuff and all the things that I have, do you hear what I'm saying? This is just life, right? It's just kind of accentuated in my circumstances at the moment that I was able to learn from that process. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need to let go. And there's my chill bumps. I hope y'all can see my chill bumps. Maybe I just need to let go. And I'm getting a little teary-eyed because it's not just the stuff that we need to let go of, right? There's emotions. I think I even posted or did a video or something like, I was keeping on to something that pisses me off. Like the memory, I'm like, why in the heck do you have that in your jewelry box, Shauna? Why have you kept it for, I don't know, 40 years? Why? Just so you can bring up that memory again and be, right? Like, why? Why? Would I have caught that if I hadn't been doing the breath work? I don't know. I had done the breath work in the morning and I knew what was going on. We can know a lot of things, y'all. I know I need to get rid of stuff, right? But when I saw how it was affecting my body and my ability to exhale, and then when I just threw some stuff out, it changed my body. How many of you like, I want to change my body, but I'm not willing to let go. I'm not willing to let go of my air. I just keep breathing in more. Like some of us are sniffers, right? Like we sniff all the time. And then we just hold on to it. And then we let out just a little bit. Right? I'm talking to myself, I want you to think about this week on that list of things of not only what you need to add into your life, but what you need to let go of in your life so that you can fit the foundational principles in. Right? If you look at this and you're like, I don't have time to do all these things. I don't have time to exercise. Oh, I meant to wear my watch today. I'm going to wear my watch tomorrow. I'm going to make a note of that. I do not know how much movement I am getting right now, but y'all, I can tell you I have moved more in the last couple of weeks than I have moved. I could exercise like all day and not get as much movement as I've been. I am up and down. I'm getting my squats. I'm getting my flexion, my extension. I am mopping. My wrist is work. I feel like my triceps are doing better. I'm just saying, right? So the exercise on there is not me. I love my neighborhood walks and I'm back in my neighborhood and I'm like, well, this is not the season, but the pool's great and I can do some swimming. So I went last night and did some laps. So, think about what you might need to let go of, replace, move over, right? That's not serving you so you can do these things. Use breath work to teach you. If you're like, oh, inhaling was really, really easy. Exhaling, not so easy. Well, what do you need to work on? Maybe not more inhales, right? Maybe more exhales. If your exhale was really, really, really good, but your inhale maybe is a little more difficult, or both of your nostrils are stopped up and you're breathing through your mouth, then maybe you're looking at that. Our breath, our stress, and our emotions are all connected. I share that in the Exceptional Health Masterclass on emotions, that y'all, the information that they have watched people, right? Our breathing changes based on the emotions that we have. But I want you to also think we're holding on the emotions through our breath. So that moment that something happened in our lives and we hold, it's attached to that. And then where does it go, right? Anger goes to our liver, fear goes into our lungs. Like there's different locations for different things. Joints, feet, knees, hips, all have different things. So if you have an area that you would like for it to change, is there an emotion, a stressor that occurred? It could actually be a physical injury too, right? That we continue to open up out of the jewelry box and look at, get mad at. Maybe we need to let go and get rid of. Does it mean everything has to go? No. but what you keep might need to be cleaned up a little bit. Right? So not saying get rid of your 3 meals a day, but maybe you just need to clean up the 3 meals a little bit. Right? What does that look like? So I hope this is helpful. My recommendation for the week is the 4-7-8. So we're going to finish today practicing the 4-7-8 breath. It is really good if you're frustrated, if you're anxious, if you are having just a hard time getting motivated to do something, any of those things. It's a great one to practice. And then go from the 4-7-8 into the insta-calm breath of just breathing in and out through your nose. Nice and easy. Think about them being pretty equal, like a wave, right? In and out, in and out. Or open our hands. For me, I gotta remind myself to exhale, let it go, right? Inhale, take what I need. Not more, just what I need. Let it go. Okay, so we're going to practice the 4-7-8 3 times. You're going to breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, let go for a count of 8. And I'm just going to do my fingers here, okay? So we're going to breathe in. Hold. Let go. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. Breathe in natural. Let out natural. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right.
Can I ask a quick question? I was thinking one of the things that we did, but I can't remember which one it is the one I do the most is 5, 5, and 5.
The
Breathe in.
box.
Yeah, the box.
Mhm.
What was that one good for?
It's good for a lot of things. It's similar to the 4-7-8, except for the exhales twice as long as the inhale, whereas that's all equal. Typically I move from a 4-7-8 to a box. Because some of us need to let go of more than we need to bring in. So, but they're all good. And wherever you start with this week is good. Like I said, for me, I realized that even just now, breathing out for the 8, if I only breathe in for, now if I breathe in for 8, it's going to be easier for me to blow out for 8, right? That's going to be a more of an equal. The goal is twice as long. So, earlier when I did it, my numbers were 8, 30, 15. So one of the clues that kind of gives me is I'm really good at holding my breath. Okay. I practice that daily. I also am really good about getting into a trauma-free state. I'm a very functional freeze kind of person. Okay. I can just hold myself there. Right. And so I don't really need to work on holding my breath for long periods of time in life. I need to learn how to let go and not hold for long periods of time. Okay. So for me, the 4-7-8 is more of where I'm at. But I practice all of the different techniques that I share y'all in pretty much every morning. Okay. I'm just sharing today specifically how I learned from the 4-7-8 this last week for myself. And what I'll continue to work on this week as I move forward. No looking back. So 2 weeks ago, our whole message was on looking back. And then this week, the message was like, I can't even remember. I felt like she was talking to me though. I was like, oh, surrender. That word, like sometimes it just leaves, right? Like surrender. And I'm like, yeah, surrender. The opposite of resistance, right? So, yeah, I hope everybody has a great week. I'm so glad to see Mom and Christina and Tony this morning live. And when this comes out onto the Facebook group, just happy to see everybody. I will be sending, if you are on the Zydo list for the monthly, I'll be sending that out today. So be looking for that email so you can do your Zydo, and you might look under your stressors and see if there's anything on there that might be coming up as a stressor that you can be working on this week to help support you, right? I love my oils, love Ningxia Red, but y'all, as I said before, they don't take place of our breath work. What I do love about oils is we do tend to breathe them in. But some of us are really good about, again, more. We just keep breathing in and in, when what we really need to do is we need to let it go. Okay. So just know that if you're going to that oil to help support you and you need to release an emotion, the way you do that is blowing it out, not continuing to breathe in and in. Okay. We live here in America and we are more people. And really, in this process, I'm learning, we really do need to be less. And if we find that we are overwhelmed, it's because there's too much more in our life and we need to let go. Think about the balloon, right? Don't let it blow up. You can take control and let it go. All right. So I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll be on Facebook each day sharing a video, but I won't be able to do a live next Monday. I'm probably going to be out of town, but if I am home, they're putting on my roof and I don't know what that would sound like. So I'm not going to do a post, but I am going to do a video. And y'all, if you have questions any days on any of the topics that I'm talking about, just ask and I'm happy to answer. All right. Love you ladies. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.